Well, isn't what this administration has done is putting a pause on everything, and then they're doing an audit of things and then a review.
But that's not the way it comes across in part because the media is not, like you said, they're not going to give them a break, right? So even if they said that that's what we're doing and here's how we're doing it, here are the people on the transition team. I mean, who are the people on Elon's DOGE team, right? I mean, can you name half a dozen of them?
Big balls.
Big balls. Well, okay.
He's
all
famous.
Right, fair enough. There's big balls.
There's the kid who deciphered those scrolls from Pompeii using AI.
Yeah.
He's a genius. I mean, it's very interesting because the approach is essentially he's mimicking the approach that Elon used at Twitter. Mm-hmm. Just you're saying, okay, I'm going to cut out 90% of this and see how it works.
Yeah, I just think that, and again, you got to go after the waste, the fraud. Is there bloat? Of course, there's bloat in the government. Go after it.
So your perspective is that, of course, there's waste, of course, there's fraud, but if you don't understand international relations, if you don't understand this long tradition of supporting regimes that have our interests in mind, if we don't do that, someone else will. Mm-hmm. They'll gain control of these areas. This is just the reality of the world that we live in, and we should be influencing other countries.
Yeah, that's said a lot better than I could say it. But yeah, that's what I'm saying on the international front. On the domestic front, I'm just saying, go through all these organizations, right? But don't give the other side the ammunition to say you guys you're firing useful people, right? I hear this all the time now. In the past few weeks, it's like oh my God, they let this entire group of people who are working around women's health issues, and and they're giving them ammunition that they don't need to by virtue of the way that they're going about it. And again, go about it, do it. So all I'm saying is it's the means of which they're doing it. You can accomplish the same task, and you can accomplish it quickly, right? It's not like your review process.
How could you review USAID while this is all going on, while they're still able to spend money? Because they're still able to, if there is corruption, if they're still able to dump a bunch of money into a bunch of different projects and funnel stuff around and move stuff into these areas where it can't be traced, which is apparently where at least some of it goes.
Yeah. I would look, if you're doing a corporate fraud investigation, you don't walk in and say there's fraud everywhere here, right? Where everybody's going. No, you don't. You go in and you do your investigation because you don't know what the iceberg looks like. You don't know what's underneath the surface. So you want to be able to go through it in a methodical way. And if you walk into the World Bank and say, we think there's fraud here in this department over here, right? And the World Bank, just as an aside, they have to, if they think there's fraud somewhere, they have to notify the people that they suspect of fraud that they're going to initiate a fraud investigation before they do it, right? How fucked up is that?
Pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. So anyway, that
gives them a little time.
Gives them a little time. So I don't know. Again, I respect the fact that they're actually making the effort. I think that's great. I'm not sure that it's there's an immovable object in Washington D.C. made up of lobbyists, defense contractors, self-interested politicians. Right? They're all like this, right? And DOGE is obviously bumping up against them, particularly when they start now talking about Pentagon spending. So I guess my point is it's complex. I don't know that blowing it up and then saying we're going to rebuild it. It's like when Kash Patel or anyone else, for an organization, they talk about the FBI. Let's raise it to the ground and start over. What? You got thousands and thousands of hardworking street agents out there doing very important work, right? You can't just say, okay, we're suspending 30% of them, right? You got to go through and say, okay, well, where is the problem here?
And is there enough time to do that?
I think this
is the question. It's like, how is this a more time-effective way of confronting the reality of what they're trying to accomplish, which is government efficiency, right? It's the Department of Government Efficiency. We don't believe that the government is efficient. We do see that there's at least some waste and some fraud, but it's not being chased down. They're going to chase it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think I would argue that they're going to find this is a years-long process anyway, no matter how much of a jump they get at the starting block. But I think that
Well, Mike Pence
you know.
thinks it's going to take 50, 60 years.
Yeah,
Untangle.
I think he's right. Right. I mean, I don't think it's going to take that long. I think if you're persistent about it, and I think your timeline is that you mentioned the midterms, that would be my focus. Right. I want to get it well done before the midterm elections. Right. Because I'm be concerned about losing the House. So you've got that runway to work with, then go. But don't feel like you got to get it done in the first 4 weeks.